When you travel around our vast country, you can see many beautiful and interesting places. But at the same time, people tell scary stories and mystical stories about trips that are hard to believe. So I, too, when I was traveling by bus to my family, encountered an unusual thing.
The bus was old. I don't remember the make. It was hot, in summer. No air conditioning. The bus was driving along an almost empty highway, amongst fields of corn. As I remember it now, this endless sea of green in the blinding midday sun. The bus is packed to capacity. A lot of old people and children. So we made frequent stops on demand. That time we stopped on a wide roadside. It was announced that we had to stop for 10 minutes. I went out to stretch my legs. But it was too hot to stand near burning and smoky bus. I decided to go for a little walk in the corn bushes. I was curious. The stalks are over 2 meters high, as if you were entering a magical forest. Look, my daughter, don't get lost. The corn is tall and you may lose your way for a long time, warned me the elderly passenger. I nodded my head, and thought to myself, well, what a nonsense. It is not a real forest, to get lost in it. I decided to go away from the cackling children and mothers. The heat is stifling. The grasshoppers are singing so loudly that they drown out even the voices near the bus. It was as if I really was in another world. I decided to walk a little more. I spread sharp stalks with my hands, stepped forward and suddenly found myself on a wide tilled glade. And there, my breath was taken away from what I saw, and I froze like a stone. Because there was something strange in the clearing. At first I thought it was an animal. But first, its skin was pink, like a human, and it was dressed in some rags, as if taken from a scarecrow. The creature was sitting on all fours with its back to me and was eating something, chowing loudly. It had wolf-like ears pressed against its skull, and the head, Mother of God, was too irregularly shaped to know who it was. One thing I could tell was that it was neither a beast nor a man. I did not look at it in detail, because I rushed away into the bushes of corn. I ran without knowing where, pushing the stalks with my hands and feeling rather than hearing that it was chasing me. There was a stomping and chirping behind me, like a bird's, but I understood that this creature was making noises, whether it was glad that I had got to it, or it was frightening me. The stomping comes closer and closer. I want to scream, but I cannot. I am ashamed, and I understand that a little more and he manages to catch up with me. And I also realize that I'm running in the middle of nowhere. And maybe I'm getting farther and farther away from the track. Fortunately for me, the driver honked his horn, picking people up. I hear them honking to my right, but not too far away. I gathered my last strength and rushed at the sound. I jumped out in time. The bus was already closing its doors. I think no one would have waited for me here. The driver looked at me unhappily, slammed the door and started walking. I stood on the steps inside the bus, looked out the window and could hardly contain my scream. I could see the corn bushes 20 meters away from the road, and they were shaking furiously. Apparently, this creature was running along with us, chasing us. I wanted to shout at the driver to go faster. I was afraid to imagine what would happen if the creature caught up with us. When we got to 100, it fell behind. Only then did I calm down and go back to my seat, and I never left the bus at any more short stops.
Subscribe to the channel. There will be many more interesting things.